Hey everybody, Stu Smith here, going live. Hope you're having a good week so far. Today is a live Q&A with some CSS critiques. I have some new CSS critiques or videos that were sent in. We'll go over those when the questions kind of die out, but send your questions in the comment section. Happy to read them as they come in. If I do not get to them all, please just copy down that question and you can email it to me, stu@stewsmith.com, or you can send it to me in my DMs over at Instagram. It's up to you how you want to do it. But it's been a good week so far. I got a new program done, and it is my spring training program, which is kind of a reverse flip of the winter lift cycle that we've been doing the last 2 years. Not that the old one didn't work, is that this is just a new approach to maintaining some of your other elements of fitness that are sometimes neglected when you're focusing purely on strength in a lift cycle. So, in fact, let me share my screen here. Share this with you. So this is, as you can see here, the increased strength and crush the PST is my winter lift cycle that we are currently in now. And we are about to make a transition into the spring training cycle, which is kind of upside down compared to what the winter lift cycle is. So what the 3-to-1 block periodization means is that you have 3 weeks of strength followed by 1 week of a deload from the strength training, but we're focusing on calisthenics and cardio. So you kind of maintain those PST scores that you need. That's for our winter lift cycle. We are in the 4th cycle of that, so 16th week, and we are in a calisthenics and cardio week. However, I'm thinking of making next week kind of a Groundhog Day week where we assess everything, assess the strength, assess the calisthenics, cardio, and see as a group, do we need to do another 4-week cycle of strength just to kind of top it off a little bit because we're not quite at our goals, or are we sufficient with our strength and it's time to focus more on the calisthenics and cardio cycle, which, when I say it's turned upside down, is done with 3 weeks of endurance, muscle stamina building, which is calisthenics and cardio, light weights in there, followed by 1 week of strength training with a running deload cycle, because each week on the spring training will increase mileage in running. I think we start off at maybe like 12 miles a week and we build up to almost 30 miles a week in week 16. But every 4th week is a reduction in miles, add some strength, add some weight training, just kind of give you a little break. We did that last year and we saw a whole lot less running pains and injuries that were quit making people not be able to run in the past. So that was a very good cycle for us last year, and it is a good cycle for us this year because that's what we're going to do. So it's a brand new book, just came out yesterday. So if you're wondering what I'm taking here, got this little frog fuel packet. I like this. Good little energized protein, collagen type protein in there. So let's take some questions. Looks like we have some. I'm going to queue up these swim videos too, so when we make that transition, we'll be ready to roll. Morning, everybody. Been lifting to get stronger, Michael says. Found your sandbag Murph workout. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that one. In fact, it's in here a few times with this new spring training one. Been doing that and calisthenics 3 days a week, maintaining strength and getting ready for buds without weightlifting. Um, yeah, absolutely. You can do that. If you put on a weight vest, do some lunges, you put on, carry sandbags with you, chest carry lunges, all of those will make you stronger. It's going to lean more towards the muscle stamina, but first do it all without added weight. See if you can get through like a Murph type workout without weight. Then you add weight. And if you're having a hard time adding weight, you might want to throw in some lifting in there. But for the most part, that is enough, especially if you're coming from a strength background. You know, 9 times out of 10, you don't even need to be in the weight room. You need to be focusing on your cardio and muscle stamina more so than your um, strength, because you're not going to lose a lot of strength, especially if you spent years of building strength. Now, if you just went through a strength cycle, you added some gains, you might be worried about losing those strength gains. That's where the 3-to-1 block periodization comes in, because that can help you maintain those strength gains by just simply changing up your workout every 4 weeks. 3 weeks of calisthenics cardio, 1 week of strength. Or if you're a winter lift cycle and you need to focus more on strength, you go 3 weeks of strength, 1 week of calisthenics and cardio. So for instance, I got people I'm coaching right now, and I just used, for one person who's an endurance athlete, triathlon type person getting ready for EOD job, they need to work on their strength a little bit more. So we have them actually starting the winter lift cycle right now at the almost springtime, because those are the 3 weeks those are the elements of fitness they need to focus on first. We also have, on the flip side, someone who's coming from a strength background that never even lifted weights all winter. We were just focusing on more cardio, getting him to lose weight because he was really big, like lineman type. And so a lot of non-impact cardio. And then he is shifting into more sandbag stuff, like you were talking about with the Sand Baby Murph, those type of exercises that is borderline strength, but for him, it's going to be a muscle stamina exercise. And he still hasn't lost any of his strength. He's still as strong as he was. We did a little lift 4 weeks ago, and he's still just as strong as he was without having touched a weight in over 12 weeks. So, like I said, it's hard to lose strength. Take a few weeks off of strength, you come back stronger. You take a few weeks off of calisthenics and cardio, it's like you never started. At least that's my experience. Okay, how soon upon waking up in the morning would you recommend start a morning workout? Do you have to wait 30 minutes first? No, I've done one. 10 minutes, I'm starting to run on my own. But I typically wake up now at about 5:30 for a 6 a.m. workout. So I just get my stuff together. It's not really that much of a ritual, other than just wash my face, brush my teeth, drink a big thing of water, and then go for a workout at 30 minutes later. A little bit of carbs sometimes. Sometimes I'll, eat up a banana or something. But yeah, that's what I would do. Do you have any thoughts on how to manage stress better? I actually written some really good articles on that. The biggest way is 2 things: breathing. Take big deep breaths. There's a there's a method called box breathing. I'd highly recommend Googling that. And if you do box breathing, Stu Smith, I bet you can find the article. In fact, I'll try it myself. Box breathing, Stu Smith. Let's see what pops up. There's a podcast about it. called The Importance of Breathing. There's recovery methods. This is a really good one. What is a breathing workout and why do you need it? All of these are articles that I've written. How to use breathing to reduce stress and boost recovery. So yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff out there on breathing. Say everything seems to be going wrong. What do you personally do in times like that? I focus on breathing. I have to take a couple big deep breaths. Just relax. Sometimes it helps with jitters of anxiety that you might be having. Maybe you're going up for a presentation or everything's going wrong around you, like you said. You just got to focus on your breathing, relax, get that heart rate back down, and it'll start engaging that thinking part of the brain. You'll be able to think through those situations a little clearer versus just reacting in some sort of fight or flight mode. So sometimes that's obviously very useful in serious emergencies, but if it's just stress around you, my suggestion is breathing, getting a good night's sleep that next night, breathing if you can't go to sleep, eating foods that are high in protein with those amino acids and get some antioxidants. All of those things help your body battle the catabolic effects of stress. Another thing is when you're really stressed out, sometimes the last thing you need is a hardcore workout where you're just going to go, maybe a HIIT circuit or just high intensity, just burn yourself out, because now you're burning the candle at both ends. So my suggestion would be, if you're having a really crap day, just go on a nice walk, jog, bike, focus on your breathing while you're doing it. Try some of that box breathing, and you'll see that you'll be able to actually physically metabolize a lot of those stress hormones by doing that versus creating more stress hormones by just crushing yourself, in the weight room or with a high intensity butt kicking failure workout. So there you go. There's a whole bunch of answers there for you. All of those will be helpful. Great question. Got to learn how to deal with stress for sure. That's life. One more question. We'll do the first swim video. Do you recommend that a person do calisthenics first or weightlifting if they are obese, aka 300 pounds, to lose a few pounds, then transition to calisthenics? I would do a lot more cardio to burn more calories, eat less food, and then whatever form of resistance training you want to do, I would do it. Doesn't really matter. You could do either one of those and still see the results. But what you're going to want to do is do your resistance training first and then top it off with walk, bike, elliptical. At 300 pounds, I would not suggest going for a run just because your knees and back will hate you if you do. So it's all non-impact cardio for you. Row, bike, swim, elliptical, stair stepper. You could do that too. That's going to be butt kicker on the legs. Great leg workout that day. That's what I would do. I've had a few over 300-pound guys, and we started them off. The biggest thing we had to do with them is just have them not run. We did, if they were already powerful and strong, we laid off the weights because that was just going to help them maintain a lot of that mass. And we did more high repetition stuff and a lot more cardio with them. They literally had to walk their ass off or cardio their ass off because they needed to lose some mass, and it wasn't all fat. So there you go. Let's see. We'll do one more real quick. How long did it take you to get better at running? Bigger and strong for my size and feel like I've been running forever. Haven't seen the gains in running relative to work I put in. Here's my question for you. Great question. it took me a couple of years, but I didn't really see results until I got out of the weight room and quit lifting heavy 1 rep max legs. And ever since then, that's how I've been coaching people, that it's really hard to improve running while you're trying to improve your strength training. That's why there's such thing as lift cycles and run cycles. Now, to maintain everything at a nice, steady, where you want it to be, you can do both in the same day. Doesn't really matter on that. But to improve in running, and you're a bigger, stronger guy, my suggestion would be to first get out of the weight room for a cycle and focus on 2 things. Non-impact cardio to build, kind of help you build an aerobic base a little better, and then top it off with some goal pace running at the desired speed you want. And so let's say, for instance, you're at a 9-minute mile right now. The next goal for you is a minute less. So your next goal is to run an 8-minute mile, right? It's just a logical step. So that means all your quarter miles will be 2 minutes. All your half miles will be 4 minutes. I want you to learn the pace of that goal pace that you want, how it feels, get your heart rate used to it so it's not going to crush you, and slowly teach yourself to run faster in those little intervals, in those quarter miles, half miles. Soon they turn into a mile, and then they turn to a mile and a half, whatever your timed run event that you're trying to go for, they will all start meeting in the same lane. It may take you 8-12 weeks probably to do that. Might take you some weight loss as well, depending on where you're weighing. But being a 250-pound guy is a very hard run, right? It's a hard pull-up too. But if you can get yourself down a little bit, it might be a little bit easier. All right, so let me change speeds here and go into a CSS critique, and we will talk about it. So we got a good kick off the wall, decent double arm pull, transitions really well. Let's see what's going on here. So we got a top arm. Where's the bottom arm? Kick and glide. All right, so top arm. Yeah, so you know how you say top arm, bottom arm, kick, glide, or pull, breathe, kick, glide? He's just holding this position right there way too long. In fact, I'll back it up a little bit and show you what I'm talking about. So you got a good glide position here. Top arm looks good. He should be pulling that bottom arm right now, right? But notice he stays in this glide position for 2 to 3 seconds longer. And I think he's losing way too much momentum every time he does that. So top arm, bottom arm, kick, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pull. That's good. But he just holds that glide there to where he starts losing that yard per second pace because he's in this position here. He's got a good kick. That's moving him well. He's got a good strong pull. But I think he's just holding that glide there. It's a little bit too long. Because this right here, it looks like it's going to be about a 56 second almost swim. So it's not horrible. I mean, that's definitely passable. You'll probably get a 9:30 with that if you can get in shape to do that 9 more times, which isn't bad. I try to get everybody down to like an 8:30. So it's about a 50-second 50. And to do that, you just need to not over glide and lose your momentum with that bottom arm. So it's kind of like the lead arm, trail arm glide position that you may have seen in the Air Force world. It's not that efficient of a glide. First thing, you want to be like this whenever you're gliding versus a one arm over your head. So there you go. That wasn't bad. That's pretty good. Let's see what's going on. We got a hard gainer here looking to re-enlist in the Army. Nice. Army National Guard. Okay. Oh, cool. Going TAC P. All right. Over 30, I lose weight easily and struggle to eat large amounts. Yeah, I tell you what, one thing is for sure. If you want to be big, you got to eat big. So at 30, you have really probably no um like your metabolism isn't like it was when you were 18, right? It's not that much different. Obviously, you're a hard gainer, but my suggestion is sneak in some extra calories. And it's real easy with a spoonful of peanut butter 2 or 3 times a day. You got an extra 500 calories, 600 calories right there, depending on your scoop size. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I wasn't losing weight, is because I had this spoonful of peanut butter, middle of the morning, middle of the afternoon, maybe even after dinner. Just love peanut butter. And when I finally started writing down all of my food, I just got one of these little notebooks like this. This isn't my one, but it's just a bunch of blank lines. And I started just writing down all my food, kept that in the kitchen. If I put it in my mouth, I wrote it down. So whether it was water consumed or any type of drink, nuts, 2 M&Ms, whatever that was, I wrote it down every day. And then I started noticing this scoop of peanut butter coming in. I did the math on where the calories were coming. And I was like, holy crap, that's 500 extra calories. Reason why I'm not gaining weight or not losing weight. So I dropped the peanut butter, which wasn't fun. Gotta admit, I like peanut butter. And next thing I know, I'm back in a deficit again and I'm losing weight. So my suggestion is do things like that. Add the little scoop of peanut butter, add a protein shake after dinner. Before you go to bed, get a big glass of milk and a peanut butter and banana sandwich. That is what I would do. Put it this way. I have a 19-year-old son, and when he was in ninth grade, he was 6'3", 140 pounds. Right now, he's 6'3" and 195, looking good, lifts, and you could no longer tell that he was a hard gainer. One of the things that helped him was Carnation instant breakfast. I actually had every meal had a Carnation instant breakfast drink, which is just loaded with good protein, but it's also has some sugar in it too, which is a hard gainer. Typically, hard gainers, if you are truly a hard gainer, you just metabolize protein a little differently than others. So carbs and fat are going to be a better source of calories for you to gain weight versus just chugging the protein powder. Does that make sense? Cool. That's a good question. And obviously, easing my stomach. Yeah. If you're talking about, if you're having digestive issues too, make sure you're getting some fiber as well. Something I do, which I don't have with me, is I take some Metamucil little cookies. Pretty good too. Or you can take fiber gummies. That may help too if you're having any digestive issues with it. Because when you consume some fiber, you will definitely start to be a little more regular. All right, so I don't see any new questions. Let's go back to sharing a video. I'll pull this one up. This was a pretty good one submitted, I think just yesterday, maybe. I think I actually did not have any issues with this one. Let's see, I might have. Sometimes I don't remember. So he's got a good kick off the wall. Oop, no need to do a double kick off the wall. You see how he did a double arm pull there? Like if he was swimming a 50-meter underwater swim, I would say, yeah, obviously you got to do double arm pulls like that. But just do one off the wall. No need to do two. Top arm, bottom arm, kick. My one suggestion here is when that top arm goes by, like right here, notice All right, we'll do it on the way back. Well, I'll back it up. See right there? So when that top arm goes by, you should be turning your head with the top arm pull instead of looking forward. You should be turning your head, just like if you were doing freestyle. As soon as that arm pulls by, you're turning your head, and you're starting to inhale, and that's going to transition right into a bottom arm inhale for you. But you need to turn your head to do it, because right now what's happening is you are kind of holding this little glide position here for a second, and you're turning to breathe and bottom arm pulling all at the same time. So you can save yourself a step by turning to breathe with the top arm, and then all you have to do with the bottom arm is just breathe at the same time as pulling the bottom arm. So it's just a slight timing thing. So I would say turn your head now versus the second later in that glide position. So when that arm passes you, turn your head. This is really good. This is a fast swim as I recall. Not super fast. I guess it's yeah, like 51, 52, somewhere around there. Not bad. Yeah, so turn your head with that and with the arm pull just like you would freestyle. So that's why the 50-50 comes in so well, is that the 50-50, in fact, I'll put it in the description or the comment section down here. 50-50 swim workout is because you do 50 meters free followed by 50 meters CSS, and that transition there is a good transition because the first half of the CSS is basically a freestyle turn and breathe of that top arm, but instead of coming out this way with the overarm recovery of a freestyle, you just bring it in up under just like you're doing a breaststroke recovery. All right, let's see if we got any new questions. Yeah, that's what I would do. Just sneak in some extra calories there. So, yeah, I'm glad it's not a digestive issue. All right, let's see what we got here. We have prior service, Army with FAI, which is Femoral. Okay, not quite sure what that is, to be honest with you. I want to get back in. I am 34, like go Ranger School. You know what, to be honest with you, I got to be honest. I don't know what a FAI is. Assuming it may be a hip impingement, which I would talk to a physical therapist on that, because obviously if I don't even know this acronym, or when you spell it out for me, I'm not going to have a good amount of suggestions for you to start doing. One thing that helped me with my hip pains is treading water. So consider this, like there was a time probably about 8 years ago when I thought I was not going to run. My hips were just really jacked up. And when I say jacked up, not like an FAI, just everything was tight. It hurt. If I was in a high mileage running cycle, it felt like my hips were just on fire or just bleeding internally. Not quite, I'm being dramatic. But it just hurt to run. So I actually had to pull back from running, and I decided to do some aqua jogging. So I was in the pool, just aqua jogging. Then I was like, aqua jogging, not really useful for me or my guys, as we are trying to train guys to transition into jobs that require treading anyway. So let's turn this into a tread. So turned it into multi-kick tread. So it was a scissor kick left, scissor kick right. So it's almost like aqua jogging. Scissor kick left, right. Did that for like 5 minutes. I said, now let's change it up a little bit. Let's do some breaststroke kicks. All right, let's change it up. Let's do some egg beater kicks, which is really just an alternating breaststroke kick. And then what I did is I went to the shallow end, and every dynamic stretch that I could think of, I did in chest deep water. So that meant I did like butt kickers, Frankenstein walks, leg swings front and back, leg swings side to side, um, side steps, you name it. That was life changing for me, to a point where my hips no longer hurt. And it's 8 years later, and my hips are now 53 years old, and I'm able to run. Whereas when I was 43, they were really starting to hurt. So what I did is I made a change, and you should make this change as well. In the middle of the week, turn your training that day into a mobility day. All right. So mobility day, that's what I call it. In fact, there's an article I am putting into the comment section called Don't Skip Mobility Day. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to help you with your particular issue, but I know it helped me with my soft tissue aches and pains of my hips. So it was my hips, it was probably my hip flexors, probably my psoas, maybe even some lower back issues. And it helped tremendously, to the point whereas today I ran 5 miles, right? And mixed in so a lot of leg PT and squats and lunges. So hips are good. Hips are real good. So hopefully that makes a difference. I'm not sure exactly what you were asking. But I would, if your hips are bothering you, I would add a mobility day. And then a really smart cardio progression for you would be probably kind of like half of your cardio be, maybe even 2/3 of your cardio being non-impact cardio. So bike, elliptical, maybe try some stair stepper, see if that opens up the hips some. Swim, row, all of those options are great for 2/3 of your cardio, and then 1/3 of your cardio being running, but progress logically with your running. So don't jump right into the Army Ranger School 5-miler. Take several weeks before you build up to 5 miles of running at sub 8-minute pace. But I would definitely learn that 7 to 8-minute pace whenever you are running, whether it's quarter miles, half miles, or shorter distance. Muscle memory that 7:30 type pace, because you'll be required to run the Ranger School 5-mile run in under 40 minutes. So hope that helps you. Give that a try. If you've tried it already and it didn't work, I'm sorry. I'm kind of guessing, to be honest with you, but it's not going to hurt you if you get in the water and try some of those movements. All right. I'm feeling good about my past numbers being competitive. However, I can't egg beater. Do you advise to wait to recruiter till I can? At least get comfortable with all the skills of drown proofing. And I don't mean drown proof yourself with tying your hands behind your back and your feet together. Just get comfortable with the bobs and the flips and the floats, the tread. I didn't learn egg beater until I was 3 or 4 years after buds. So it's not needed. However, it is helpful. So if you do a Google search, egg beater, water polo, help, you can find some really good videos. In fact, this is one of my favorites. This guy here. I'm not going to share it on this podcast or this live, but I put a link into the comment section. And it's just a YouTube video, but it's egg beater for beginners taught by this water polo guy. And he does a really good job at teaching it. In fact, I send this video to all my guys trying to learn water polo. But if you're having a hard time with egg beater, my suggestion is is learn breaststroke kick first. So anybody, any swim coach can teach you a breaststroke kick. Learn how to do a legit breaststroke kick, because people screw it up with turn it into a scissor kick. Do a breaststroke kick, and then think all the egg beater is an alternating breaststroke kick. So instead of bringing both together like this, you're going to be boop, boop, boop. And one of the techniques I use to teach people is think about kicking a soccer ball with the inside of your foot. That is the breaststroke kick, right? So you want to use the inside of your leg, inside of your foot, to push water behind you. Same for the egg beater. However, you're kind of in a seated position when you're treading, and you're doing the egg beater, which is a poorly named exercise for this, because people think they spin their legs in a circle like this, or actually they're trying to push down. So the plane is shifted 90 degrees, and you want to push down with the inside of your feet, alternating like this. Whereas breaststroke, you would push down together. You're just pushing down like this. So imagine kicking a soccer ball to the bottom of the pool with the inside of your foot while you're vertical. That is the egg beater, and that's how I teach it to large groups. And it works. It just takes some time. You're going to have to get some hip mobility. You're going to have to get some knee mobility. And that will help you with learning the egg beater. But yeah, I would probably get a little better with the pool standards before you go see a recruiter. Not a whole lot. It might only take a few weeks to a month before you do, but just have some of that under your belt, because you'll be tasked with it in your pre-training. All right. So, hey, Stu, I know most people recommend running on soft sand to prepare for buds. I live in the mountains in North Carolina, picked up trail running. You know what? To be honest with you, if you don't have sand, if you can run hills, just as good. Everybody here, when we started running hills, they were like, yeah, I'm so glad we ran the hills, because it prepared me for running in sand. Now, we do have a beach that's 1 mile long with sand, so that is helpful. But at the time when we discovered the hill, probably 10 or 15 years ago, we weren't really doing a lot of beach running. Now we do a beach run every week. Let's just turn it into a leg day. But yeah, if you can find some hills, absolutely. One thing that I did, I didn't have any hills where I lived growing up, but I lived in Florida, but I still lived 2 hours away from the beach. So running soft sand wasn't every day, wasn't an option. So what I did was I would ride my bike out to this river in the summer that I knew would always be dried up. So I ran this river bed in North Florida. Had nothing but soft sand in it, and that was hard. You know, sometimes knee deep water, and there's snakes and alligators everywhere. That was a little spooky. And then the other option was, when it wasn't dried up, was there's this field close to my house, and I just asked the farmer if I could run the perimeter of his cornfield that was plowed, and that was soft dirt, and that actually worked pretty well too. And I did that probably a dozen times when I was home. Yes, running hills will suffice. All right, let's see what's going on. How much would you adjust the CSS for someone with limited range of motion in the shoulders for it to still be efficient? Oh, good question. Depends. You know, I would say, can you get a better range of motion in your shoulders? Can you do this and hold the glide? But I have had triathletes who have a bad shoulder, like say they got in a wreck on a bike or something, and now they can't swim freestyle anymore. So they use the bad arm for the bottom arm, which is really just like a breaststroke skull, and the top arm for power, which was their good arm, which is like a freestyle catch. So they were able to continue their triathlete competition by using the CSS. So it kind of depends on what you are training for. If you are training for a job in the military that requires the CSS, my first suggestion would be get better range of motion in your shoulders. Work on that mobility because you're going to need it. Before I would recommend not doing it, or doing it with poor shoulder mobility. So hope that helps. Let's see. Woo! It's a long time with no activity for you with the FAI. Hopefully the getting in the water helps. It's not painful at all. Let's see. What would you adjust? Oh, I just did that one. Okay, everybody's answering people's questions here, which is nice of you to do, but it's a little distracting with me finding questions. Okay, in the past videos, you have been skeptical of LSD runs being helpful when in a large percentage of applicants. I'm not saying they're not helpful. I mean, obviously, running coaches use LSD runs to build an aerobic base all the time. My suggestion is if you're new to running and you're not a running athlete, like long distance running athlete, doing a lot of LSD runs typically just gets you injured quickly. So my suggestion has always been treat it like a triathlete. 2/3 of your cardio for aerobic base training is going to be biking and swimming or some other non-impact cardio. 1/3 of your running will obviously be running, and that can be goal pace stuff. I wouldn't waste it on LSD running if you are getting plenty of non-impact aerobic base cardio training. So my reasoning for not doing LSD runs isn't because it doesn't work. It absolutely works if you're a very light runner. But let's say you're coming in at 220. That's the last thing your knees need is a bunch of LSD runs. And LSD is long, slow distance runs for anybody who's just listening. Wasn't sure what we're talking about. So yeah, I think I just answered your question here. Like I said, I use it to save wear and tear on the joints, especially if you're a non-runner. Like we have cross-country runners that do LSD runs all the time. But what I do for them is I say, you know what, drop the LSD runs and now let's get in the weight room because you're weak as hell and you need to put on some mass. You know, if they're not competing anymore, obviously. If they're still competing, then I'm not going to mess up with their training. Just try to focus on their muscle stamina more than pure strength. Did I play Navy football? Nope, but I tried. I wound up playing 3.5 years of Navy rugby instead. So good times. Let me do another CSS critique real quick while I have time. See what this one looks like. I'll pull this up. Share my screen. All right, so we have a kick off the wall, decent, good streamline, transitions, a little bit bulky on the transition, needs to be a little tighter on the recovery. So we got a top arm, bottom arm, kick and glide. This is okay. It looks like he is looking a little bit backwards, you know, when he's coming up to breathe. Don't recommend doing that. I would recommend turning sideways or a little bit forward, looking a little bit forward versus looking backwards too much. Not that that's a big deal. Sometimes it just causes some over rotation that you don't need, but this is actually really good. And even though it looks slow, it's actually pretty fast. I think he's going to do this in under 50 seconds. Yeah, sure enough. And that was took a few seconds to kick off the wall there. Let's see, nope, he did. So that's at 48, 49 seconds. So he's, 8-minute zone if he can keep this pace for 9 more laps. So overall, not bad at all. I'm nitpicking on the critiques here, obviously, because he's got a good kick, he's got a good glide. I think the only thing, if he's going to fix anything, would be just this recovery with his arms over his head. Can be a little tighter to his body off the wall, definitely, and a little bit here too. You can see he's kind of got the habit of keeping his arms away from his body when he recovers. Needs to keep those tight. Like his hand should be touching his body the whole time going up. But that, once again, that's pretty nitpicky. He's already swimming 8-minute or 80. Sorry, he's already swimming a 50-second 50. That's efficient. That's good. That wasn't a sprint, obviously. If he can just get in shape to maintain that, he's good enough. Okay. Is a strength program strictly weight room exercises, or does it include running? Well, great question. It depends. If you are a power athlete, like a power lifter, chances are you're not going to be doing any running unless you need to lose some weight and to meet your weight class. But my strength programs, and especially in the tactical fitness world, right? When you're talking about tactical fitness where you need to be good at everything, yes, you're going to still be doing some warm-ups of calisthenics. You're going to be doing some lifting to work on strength, maybe some power movements, and then you're going to later do some cardio on the back end of that just to maintain your cardio. In fact, that's what my latest winter lift cycle is. This block periodization model where you do 3 weeks of strength, deload for a week, but that deload is really focusing more on calisthenics and cardio, so you can actually maintain and even improve your PST scores. Okay, I see you said your. Yeah, so I answered your question there. I just wasn't understanding your if it was a regular strength training. Can you build muscle with calisthenics? Absolutely. Do they do log PT and police and law enforcement? I don't know about that. Some may. I think I've seen some SWAT teams use it as part of their selection, but I have not seen like police academy folks use it at all. My age is 53. I just mentioned that a few minutes ago. All right. So I've done 3 videos of CSS. I'm going to start wrapping this up. If I missed any of your questions, please send them to me. I think I got every question. If I missed one, I'm sorry. But send it to me. I will answer it, I promise. If you've stuck around this long, check out StuSmithFitness.com and you will see my store where I have a whole bunch of programs, books, and this is one of them, my latest one called Spring Training, Getting To and Through Selection. It's a 3-to-1 block periodization model, which is the opposite of my winter lift cycle model. So it's 3 weeks of calisthenics and cardio, followed by 1 week of strength training for a 16-week cycle. And we are in that cycle right now. We are actually on week 16 of the previous one, this one right here, the winter lift cycle. So we're doing 3 weeks of strength, followed by 1 week of calisthenics cardio, We are on week 16, where we're focusing on calisthenics and cardio just to see where we are of calisthenics cardio. Next week, probably going to do an assessment week on the strength events just to see where we are, see if everybody's improved. And that is going to be a determining factor of whether or not we as a group move on to spring training and flip it upside down, or we do a 5th cycle of 3 week strength and 1 week calisthenics cardio. So we call it like our groundhog week, and because it depends on people's individual assessments on where we go for this last month as we transition into the spring. So I think that is it. A few more questions. Looks like these are real short. Are your workouts in Maryland accessible to anyone? Only those who are seeking to serve or have served or are actually serving. So military, law enforcement, and firefighters, and those who want to be those guys can join me on my training. It's not just open to anyone because it's free training. I don't charge anybody for it. It's free training, and it's for those who want to serve, or currently serving. Marine Recon rucksack run. Yes, it's going to be boots and fatigues. Do you have any programs for a 35-year-old? Well, I have everything from an 18-year-old to a 53-year-old. That's me. I got guys that are doing these workouts that are well above my age too. So yes, I do. If you're kind of a beginner, my suggestion would be start off with this one because this has a good model of just a calisthenic base, builds you a nice calisthenics base, and you can go into some actual training. If you're trying to get back in shape, that's a good way to do it. There's a beginner program, there's an intermediate program, an advanced program. It's a nice, easy progression, and it's not a whole lot of equipment, though there is some swimming in there. You can also trade out the swimming with biking or other non-impact cardio activities. But yeah, I have beginner programs. I would suggest looking at that. Also have a new series, not so much new, but it's newly updated, Tactical Fitness Over 40, which is a program that has that mobility day that I talked about earlier embedded every week into the training. My suggestion is definitely look up Mobility Day and add that to your world because it is life-changing. Whether you are trying to increase some longevity into your training life or you're a young guy and focusing on performance, both groups benefit greatly from a midweek mobility day. It's kind of an easier thing, a little recovery day midweek, but it focuses on what everybody neglects: flexibility and mobility. A little bit of non-impact cardio, feel like you did something, and then you go into the following days of the week and you just earn such a better place versus just burnt out by Friday and Saturday. So there you go. Oh, okay. Last question, Brooks. When choosing a weight for rucking, do you factor the weight of the rucksack in or just the weight of the bag carrying? Well, when I weigh it, I weigh the whole thing, obviously, because that's how much weight you're carrying. So whether you fill it with water, you fill it with sand or whatever, just put it on the scale, weigh it. And my suggestion is probably start off with about, I don't know, 15% of your body weight and build up to 25% of your body weight over several weeks. Because if you're a 200-pound guy building up to 50 pounds, it's not that difficult, but it's a good progression. You know, you'll find 15, 20, 25 pounds probably pretty easy. So you may want to go up a little faster, up to closer to 40 or 50 pounds. Standard rucks probably weigh you about 40 to 50 pounds, and then some will get heavier than the 60 to 80 pound, depending on what job you're doing. So take some time and progress logically into that additional weight. All right, folks. Sorry, I got to go. Like I said, if you stuck around this long, I appreciate it. Go to stewsmithfitness.com, save 20% with the Compete20 code. So until next week, I'll see you later.